Really loud, really fast.
It sounds and feels so damn good.
And really expensive.
That is just heaven.
Simon Kidston deals in the world's most expensive cars.
I can't believe it. I'm driving the Goldenhouse 300 SLR.
And he loves them.
That is motoring arrogance at its best.
Kidston caters to fantasies in a world where money is no object.
The older you get, you have more privileges that you don't need. Money for me doesn't mean anything.
It's the world of fashion czars.
People always want to come see the garage, and I've been inspired by cars in many different ways.
And the world of legendary rock stars.
It's like a great Fender guitar or Stradivarius violin. You know, it's a tool.
In the hubs of the classic car scene, Goodwood, the Concorso d'Eleganza on Lake Como, and Pebble Beach, Simon Kidston plays the master of ceremonies, juggling the vanities and passions of his clientele in a marketplace worth billions. Kidston also has one of the largest stands at Retromobile in Paris, the world's most important classic car show.
My personal intention is to sell a car whilst I'm here. That would make me very happy. I suppose I'm an upmarket used car dealer, and you'd be amazed the sacrifices that people make, myself included, way beyond what rationally you should, to own things that you love. And the reasons that you own them or want them can be so many. It might be nostalgia, it might be, as you say, status. Maybe it's investment, maybe it's a sense of community, or just driving.
See, it's not easy.
Yes.
But it's fun.
American Peter Hayden likes to turn up to classic car events in his Duesenberg, one of the most exciting vehicles of the 1920s.
It's understated, but the deeper you look at it, the richer it becomes, because it is a very rich man's car.
This is the 1952 Rolls-Royce Phantom.
Ion Siriac, the richest man in Romania, doesn't show off his machines only at classic car competitions. He's the rare collector who makes the gems in his private museum, based in Bucharest, accessible to the general public.
The older you get, you have more privileges that you don't need. But as a soul, as a person, I believe I am a socialist.
With over 400 cars from all eras and a wide variety of countries, the Siriac collection is one of the largest private ones in the world.
I'm often asked, whose collection is your favorite? And I think the collection itself, my favorite collection of any one person, is probably Ralph Lauren's, because it's very diverse, but it's very well put together.
American fashion designer Ralph Lauren sometimes has models twirl around some of his precious cars on the catwalk. The haute couture star has also built up a unique, exquisite collection of historic autos.
I bought cars because I wanted to drive them, and all of a sudden I have a collection.
Another guy who enjoys driving valuable old cars is Pink Floyd drummer Nick Mason. The love of prized classic cars is diverse.
I don't collect them. I have them. I never intended to be a collector. I wanted to be a racing driver.
Nick maybe doesn't want to be called a collector, but I think most people would consider that somebody who has more than 2 cars, more than 20 cars, it's safe to say he's a collector, and a very, very good one. If I had to take over one collector's life, I think it would be Nick Mason's. Because by day he's a rock god.
Mason was one of the founders of the cult British band Pink Floyd in 1965. A successful, unique and lucrative career.
And yet, at the weekends, or whenever he's not up on stage, he can go to his barn, his hangar, and he's got this amazing collection of cars. He is a person who bought from his heart, his GTO when he bought it, he said to himself, I must be crazy. I think he said, this is all of the profit on one of my most successful records going into one thing with 4 wheels. I think it was something like £40,000 he paid for that car in the 1970s.
The Ferrari 250 GTO that Mason bought for the equivalent of €47,000 is now worth more than 40 million. But that doesn't stop him from driving it in everyday life and really stepping on the gas in classic car races.
It's like a great Fender guitar or Stradivarius violin. You know, it's a tool, really. It's not a piece of art. It's different, but it's a tool that embodies so many special things.
A Ferrari 250 GTO will also take centre stage at Simon Kidston's stand at the Retromobile in Paris.
Now, do you want to see what you get for, let's just say, a lot of money? No real ventilation, no air conditioning, no power steering, no radio, no windows, no door handles, no carpets, but one of the best engines ever designed. Fantastic gear change. And the view over the bonnet is automotive pornography. But when you want the power, it's there. And it's there instantly.
For decades, the Ferrari 250 GTOs, of which only 36 were built, were the most expensive autos on the classic car market. That is, until Simon Kidston's coup in May 2022.
I can't believe it. I'm driving the Uhlenhaut 300 SLR. I love it.
Kidston bought the 300 SLR from Mercedes for one of his clients for €135 million.
The root of the whole story with that car was a conversation a long, long time ago with a friend about what the greatest car in the world is. And that is my personal favorite. I've never made any secret of that for many, many years because of the story behind it.
Only 2 Uhlenhaut coupes were built by legendary Mercedes engineer Rudolf Uhlenhaut for the 1956 racing season. But when Mercedes quit motorsport, the 8-cylinder mules with over 300 horsepower became company cars, one of them for Uhlenhaut himself.
The sound. I've never heard the Loch Ness Monster, but I imagine it probably could sound a bit like that. And the aesthetics of the car, and I suppose also the unobtainability of that car.
Never before had Mercedes handed over a milestone in the company's history from its classic depot. But then Kidston came along and entered into tough negotiations that lasted over 2 years. It was time well spent.
A lot of diplomacy. It was a very constructive, what if, how would this benefit Mercedes? What signal would it send?
The coincidence of having this happening at the moment when Mercedes wants to become the luxury brand worldwide. And of course, I mean, you've heard the story for ages that Ferrari is the most expensive classic car brand. So you want to top that. Everything is just too perfect.
If it was a marketing exercise, it certainly worked very well because it's got everybody talking about the most expensive car in the world being a Mercedes. But ultimately, luck is always an important ingredient. No matter how hard you work, sometimes the stars just need to align. And there they did.
Kidston has been dealing in classic cars since 2006 and has done a lot to create a lucrative market. Leading figures in the scene like Paolo Tuminelli, an automotive design professor and a regular judge at classic car contests, and Tom Fisher, a collector and renowned restorer, are all keeping a close eye on how Kidston is changing the world of classic cars.
He realized as one of the earliest ones to bring passion and business together.
Car dealers promoting their cars, doing amazing video productions, doing storytelling, becoming themselves protagonists of a Hollywood lifestyle created, because this helps generating awareness and affection for the business.
With his own production company, Simon Kidston creates elaborate videos that tell funny and creative stories about his cars. Films that shed light on the history of classic cars. Or simply the sensual fascination of automobiles.
Mission most definitely accomplished. Wow.
Kidston always puts the vehicles in the best light for his buyers.
So why do you spend so much money in a car? Here I believe something comes up, the history, the value of the story behind a car, and the fact that when you buy a car that was raced by Fangio or by Nuvolari or by Jackie X, a car that has a story to sell, then you become part of the stories. Make yourself immortal.
Number 10, Juan Fangio, the world champion, leading our own Sterling Moss.
A new world auction record price at Bonhams, 17,500,000.
Right from the start, the Mercedes-Benz went out in front. Number 10, Juan Fangio, the world
But then if we go down this philosophical approach, I'm afraid that there's been a shift. Just recently, you would say really in the new century, most of the interest has been driven by financial interest. We've seen classic cars gaining in value faster than art.
As they try to achieve a higher return on their investment, enterprising collectors get help from websites with an index documenting the performance of classic cars. Dietrich Hatlapa, a former investment banker, investigates how cars are traded at auctions and private sales. A global turnover of €5 billion a year with some 200,000 classic cars, not uncommon in the past decade.
The passion for classic cars as a passion for rich boys that play with expensive toys.
The most negative thing is that there are still people around, they only care about money, and it's always difficult to speak about business and enthusiasm and passion. But anyway, it's a question of the percentage of everything.
At the Retromobile in Paris, the wealthy collectors all flock to the Ferrari 250 GTO.
And they've said, oh, what's it worth? What will it be worth in the future? And do you know the question that people don't ask much these days? What does it drive like? It's not because somebody woke up one day and said, a Ferrari GTO is going to be the next collectible car. It's because a long time ago, somebody drove one and thought, wow, this is really cool. And that is where the GTO legend started. People talk forever about the values of GTOs, but what made them special in the first place is how enjoyable they were to drive.
It is just so positive. And that engine! And it just revs and revs and revs.
And so Simon Kidston will continue to sell classic cars to the most diverse people in the world, who all have one thing in common. They have a lot of money and are completely crazy about amazing old autos. And what does Kidston earn from the sale of each car? At least 5% of the sales price. The rest is a trade secret. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel.